Hello friends and welcome to another Sheepy7 video. ArtFight only has a couple of days left, but I decided I wanted to have another original character of mine join my character list. Here I am drawing his pixel art version that will later be added to the full reference sheet like I made for Shusagi. Since I love the letter S, all my original characters' names start with S. And with him being a rabbit/bunny, I decided to name him Shusagi. For this pixel art piece, I wanted to try and capture some of his personality, so I picked a confident looking pose, as well as giving him an annoyed facial expression. I did have a bit of trouble drawing this pose, mostly the upper body and a bit on the positioning of his legs. Shusagi is very fuzzy, so I draw lots of little hair pieces sticking out. These pieces get put in random spots except for the ones on his head and the top ear piece on each side. Usually for these pixel art pieces, I will just edit the sketch pixels to become the line art, but in this piece I drew the final line art on another layer. I did it that way for this piece because it seemed easier to do so. One thing I wonder about design-wise are the colors I chose to go in his inner ear piece. In his origin picture in one of my sketchbooks, I only used pencil, but the colors I've chosen for this didn't translate as well as it looks in that sketchbook. Is this something I might eventually change? Another small detail I added here was to give a few dots extra to every hair piece to give them more shape/detail. I also had forgotten to add two pieces, one on each side at the bottom of his ears. Shusagi is mostly one color, making him relaxing to color in. Something I tend to forget is Shusagi's fluffy chest hair piece. Sometimes I have to go back and check if I remember to draw it when I draw him a lot on the same page. On to my next pixel art attack. The character I've chosen from boxedmuffinmix is Fragment of Slumbering Tides, or FOST for short. Overall, really like this character design. I will now read on the shorter side description. They/he, Rainworld OC. Iterator based on ocean and moon elements. Only has 3 fingers. You can call them FOST for short. The spaces in between their limbs are colored with the same color as his cloak. Only one side has a sleeve, the other side their whole arm is exposed. Unfortunately, I cannot see the permissions from the ArtFight site, but I did already look at them, because you always should do that before you draw. And well, that was all. Now on to drawing Fragment of the Slumbering Tide. This character felt like one I would have liked to have made myself, so it was very enjoyable to draw. I really do like drawing creature type characters. Mostly because I still struggle with humans, but I'm still practicing on that. For the pose, I thought Fragment of the Slumbering Tide floating there with one leg bent would be pretty cool. And with his arms out. It reminds me of that one Death Note art of Light or Kira posing similarly. Again, like my other drawings, I had to expand the canvas upwards a couple of pixels. But if I started with a bigger canvas originally, I'd probably end up with the same issue. This is a drawing I could have used the symmetry tool on, but I wanted each side to look a little bit different. The right arm, or his left arm, proved to be a bit difficult to position because I wanted it to be bent a bit to not be in the same position as the other arm. His legs do come to a point in the original drawing, but for all my pixel art pieces, these are the kind of legs and feet I like to draw. Him only having 3 fingers like my original character Shusagi made it a bit easier to draw the hands. I did have to check that the hands are both about the same size though. Another character I drew before this one on ArtFight had a cape. The pose I drew her in though didn't really fit with the cape being on her, so I wasn't able to draw it then. For Fragment of the Slumbering Tide though, I was able to draw the cape. And I tried to make both sides different as well. I wanted his head to look like it was slightly leaning down, as if he's looking down on something. But this made it hard to find a spot to put the blue part that goes between his limbs on the neck there. So I adjusted his head to be up 1 pixel to allow a better spot for that. I did look up the game this character is based off of, but I've never played or seen anyone else play it before. And since our fight was ending soon, I didn't feel like researching more into it to get a better idea for the background. So instead, for this background, I drew a beach with some sand, a purple to red sky with the moon and a few stars out. I thought these colors would complement Fragment of the Slumbering Tide. Usually I do the background after the character's already colored in, but this time I did it in the middle of the drawing because I actually do like drawing this type of background, where the other ones, the background was more for practice rather than me wanting to draw it. For the beach, it was a bit difficult because I've only drawn pixel water one other time before. But thanks to some Pinterest guides, I was able to figure that out. I also wasn't sure how to draw sand, and still don't know if that came out very good. I did like how I was able to make it look like the waves are crashing against the shore though, with the foam that collects at the end of the water. And here I'm adding Shuiji into the background because I felt like he'd fit well in the water. Coloring Fragment of the Slumbering Tide was fairly easy, and even the shading. One hard part was trying to find where to place Fragment of the Slumbering Tide's blue connecting panels for his body parts, especially on the neck since I didn't have much room there. It's always interesting to me to see how pixel art can simplify more complicated patterns, like on Fragment of the Slumbering Tide's cape, and the hanging piece that is tied to his waist. I'm not sure of the name of that type of clothing item. As well as on his shirt, I again had to find some way to simplify the design more. Ended up using Alpha Lock for it since to put that many black pixels to surround the colors would make it look too messy. I tried adding some highlights that would be appearing from the moonlight. While looking at Fragment of the Slumbering Tide again, I thought it would be cool if he was holding something in each hand, so I tried to draw some elements floating in each one. For the sky, I wanted it to have one more thing to stand out a bit more, so I tried a few things, but ended up settling on adding some clouds. Overall, I'm very happy with the character composition on this piece, and I'm happy with the background as well. But if I had more time to check out Rain World, or if I'd already been introduced to it, I would have liked to give the background a more authentic appearance.